Okay, so this is the first part of the bird flap tutorial. And you should go ahead and watch the technical lecture on how to get hold of this rig and also how to use it before you start watching this one. So now that I've opened up my Crow here, I'm going to go ahead and create a project. I'm going to go New Project, and I'm going to call it Bird Flap. Accept, and I'm going to set to that project. Now there is a texture associated, there it is, bird flap there, set to my project, and go ahead and save bird flap underscore v001. Now there is a texture associated with this rig which we will need to put in the source images folder of our new project. And here it is. The crow comes with a texture here. That's our texture. So I'm going to go Control C there. Then I'm going to go to my Documents folder, Maya, Projects, where is it? Bird Flap, Source Images, and Control V. Make sure that that is saved in the Source Images folder. And now I should be able to open up the Hypershade and reattach that texture. There we go. Crow shader. If I double click on that and then go into the color node, scroll down here to there, that's what it's looking for. It's looking for crowtext.jpg. Just click on the little yellow folder and, well, crow tiff, it's the same thing. So now if I hit 6, ta-da, I now have a nicely textured crow. It even has a little color inside its beak. Now, as I said, this crow doesn't do close-ups too well, but it will do a medium shot and a long shot extremely well. Okay, so we're going to do a 13-frame flap cycle. So I'm going to go ahead and set my timeline to 33, and then I'm going to go and start posing out the character. I also want to make sure that I keep my thumbnails in front of me. Here are some bird flap thumbnails. And you can see this is actually taken from the Whitaker and Hallis book, Timing and Animation. And it's pretty simple. But basically, what it really shows you is the wings go up, the wings go down, and there's a bend in the wings as they go down, and then another bend as they come up again. So it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is put our crow into some kind of position that feels realistic. So first of all, let's tilt his body. Actually, why don't we just move the whole thing like that? Actually, no, let's try it. Let's do it this way. And then roll that down. There we go. That's more logical. Okay, what we want, what we're trying to do here is to have the crow in a position that looks sort of believable for flight. So I'm just going to very quickly get it into position, and I think I want its feet kind of trailing behind it. I think that makes sense. Although I suppose the feet could be kind of curled up underneath it. Actually, we might just check some reference just to make sure. Here we go. I've just gone to Google Images and looked up crows in flight, and it looks like the legs do kind of tuck underneath it. So actually, maybe what I want is the feet sort of going forward and then curling underneath the body. So I think perhaps that's not actually. Oh, wait a minute. I'm just going to set everything back to 0. And then okay, so it's not going to like curling it too much. So we might have to. Now, one thing we can do is we can use these locators to use the translate Z to, whoops, curl those back like that. Okay, something like that I think looks all right. We don't need to be too literally realistic. Let's make sure that select those locators. Translate Z, set, and set on this foot, and let's try and get these two more or less lined up so they feel kind of similar. Okay, great. So now we've got our crow more or less in position. Sort of tilt his head up a bit so he looks like he's looking where he's going. Okay, I'm reasonably happy with that. Now, what's my first pose? What do I want to... Okay, so first pose, we're going to have the wings up. So let's start off with our crow with his wings up. And I'm going to lift the crow, oops, like that. And let's see, I might just tilt it that way a little bit as well. There we go, hit S. And then on this wing, lifting it up. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. And now I want to turn off select surface objects, and I'm going to grab all of the controls, and middle mouse drag that to 13 and hit S. Because I want 13 and 1 to be exactly the same. And then the next thing I need to do is go and set a frame at frame 7. Set a keyframe at 7 where the wings are going to be in their down position. So here the body is going to be up and the wings are going to be down like that. Now, one thing I want to make sure that I do, which I have not checked, is to make sure that in my preferences button over here that I'm set to spline curves. Good, yes, I'm set to spline curves. That's good. That's what we want, because we want Maya to do the in-betweens for us. So let's push this wing down as well. I remember once I was teaching at a university, and a student came up to me and said that they'd heard that you should never put bird animation on your demo reel because it was too simple. I thought, how very strange. I spent my whole life trying to find things that are nice and simple to animate. Because it's so much more rewarding when you do things that don't actually require a ridiculous amount of effort. Okay, so all right, so we've got our crow flapping. I'm not sure actually with what I've done in the feet there is particularly good. I might lift them up a bit here as well. Now middle mouse drag that to 13. Okay. So that's the very basics of it. Now we need to insert our breakdown positions. But before we do that, I'm going to save this and bird flap 2. Always want to save when you've done about roughly every 10 minutes is a good time to be saving, and anytime you feel like you've done something that works, that looks okay, go ahead and save it. Okay, I'm going to stop the video, and in the next one we'll start adding breakdowns.